One of the important functions of science is to foresee future developments. The previous forum in Krakow focused on the future of communication, the media, and the audiences. Convergence was the pervading catchword of the discussions, embracing journalism ethics, public relations practices, social media, and online democracy. The broadening of both the regional forum's content and their geographical borders can also be seen as evidence of sustainability of media and communication research in Central and Eastern Europe. Developing, on one hand, as a distinct Central and East European scholarship, it also forms a part of the global research agenda, which the main themes and topics of the presentations of current conference also confirm. Dear colleagues, next year, Scandinavian and Finnish media and communication scholars will celebrate the 40th anniversary of their regional forums, the Nordic conferences. The popularity of these conferences has proved the importance of regular face-to-face meetings of scholars, even in the era of highly sophisticated communication technologies. However, no technology can mediate the atmosphere of creativity and inspiration that such meetings can generate. The contacts that are made and the ideas exchanged initiate new research projects and networks, vital for advancing our efforts in studying media and communication in our countries, and contributing to the scholarship in a broader sense. For this conference, and also for the future, in the spirit of Heraclitus' ever-changing environment and mental attitudes, I wish all of us unbounded creativity, open minds, a lot of curiosity, and ambitious ideas. Thank you.
Now we'll move to our first keynote speech. I think name of keynote speaker is such a well-known and outstanding, so there is no need for some more introduction, and it's a pleasure that Slavko Splichal has found time and energy to come to our conference to Prague. Slavko Splichal is professor of communication at the Faculty of Social Sciences of University Ljubljana and associate member of Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts. So it's your space, Slavko, and thank you very much.
Thank you, and good morning. I must say I'm really glad that I can join you today here, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk about some issues I think are very important for the time being. As announced, I'm going to talk about three key issues which are transition, transnationalization or globalization, and the public sphere. Or to put it differently, what are the consequences of these processes of transition and transnationalization for the public sphere, both in terms of theory and in, let's say, its practical relations. But let me start with a confession. In my book on Media Beyond Socialism, which was published almost 20 years ago, and which was devoted to changes in the media after the collapse of communism, I unfortunately committed a methodological fallacy of composition. By considering transnationalization only one of many dimensions of or tendencies within the broader process of transition or transformation of the former communist countries. Like many other students of transformations of these countries in different fields, economy, politics, media, social structure, and so on and so on, the international dimension was reduced to a sort of minor, less important factor in the developments. At that time, the newly emerging post-communism has been largely described as, and I quote George Shevlin, a sui generis system marked by some democratic practices with stronger or weaker commitments to pluralism, so that political and economic competition have become reality. At the same time, anti-democratic ideas and practices also are current. So it believed that what's being developed at that time was a sui generis system. A few years later, I applied Gabriel Tart's theory of imitation in an attempt to find a valid explanation of changes in the former communist countries. Tart's theory does not specify in advance the nature of imitation, but it is open to several forms of imitation, which in turn are related to innovation and opposition. Tart pointed, and that was more than 100 years ago, to a fundamental difference between two ways in which progress through imitation is effectuated. On the one hand, it is substitution involving, on the other hand, accumulation. So they are always, and basically it is obviously a combination of these two types of imitations, but always also one of them would prevail. And the dominant type of imitative changes in the post-communism seem to be mostly based on substitution. So replacing everything that was a sign of the past with a new element, the so-called new elements.
So maybe I will have one small question. Of course, discussing this public sphere in contemporary society is connected with some skeptical view. Is there some way out of it?
Well, generally, I would say there is always a way out. The problem is that we have to find it. And I think if you are talking, or when we are talking about the public sphere, recently, it's too often the case that the researchers, the social scientists, whatever we are, actually they distance ourselves from the problem, not seeing that we are actually part of the problem. And that I wanted to really emphasize in the concluding remark, that what is really needed is that social sciences and social scientists become actually an example in the truly, let's say Kantian sense. When Kant talked about the importance of publicness, he actually always had in mind, or he compared that with what, nowadays we would say, university professors would do in public if they are not corrupted. So basically my idea is that social scientists should become more active in trying to, in practice, trying to pursue these noble ideas of the public sphere and publicness.
From Transunion in Prague, and then Pavel Zahrádka, who was based at Olomouc, at Palacký University. Anna Maria Teodorescu was apologized for catching up on the flu, so she will not be with us. So I will ask now Susanna to present her paper.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zuzana Kolajová, and I'm from Faculty of Media, European University in Bratislava. It is not my goal to fool you up or to make house, but somehow my presentation is in Slovak language, but I will speak English. So for those who could read and understand Slovak, we are also very welcome to follow the presentation, and the rest of you, I will try to explain what is in my presentation and what is my contribution about in English. So I would like to apologize for this. It is part of the professional virtuosity to experiment with genres. So the authors experiment with media type, with media form, but also they experiment with genre combination. And it is very common that we don't find one genre that's very pure and separate in media. But what I'm witnessing today is that the genre visibility is diminished, especially in
Central and Eastern Europe. First of all, I would like to thank the conference organizers for the suggestion and for giving us the opportunity to discuss the future, the editorial framework, as well as future for cooperation when it comes to different types of media and communication journals in Central and Eastern Europe. Above all, I would also like to thank all journal editors that accepted our invitation and are here with us today. Please welcome Bogusława Dobygosrowska, representing the Central European Journal of Communication. Please welcome Professor Miroliub Radojkovic, representing Communication Management Quarterly. Please also welcome Martin Solik from Communication Today, the journal that is published in the Slovak Republic. Also joining us is Dr. Branisław Ondrasik, who is representing the Global Media Journal, the Slovak edition of this journal. We also have in our panel Daria Mustic, member of editorial board of the Croatian Informatologia. Welcome. Professor Slavko Spichal, representing Javnost the Public from Slovenia. Lenka Vaškova-Cisarova, representing Media Studies Journal from the Czech Republic. Professor Aukse Balčytis from Media Transformations Lithuania. And on Skype we also have Dr. Raluca Radu, representing Romanian Journal of Journalism and Communication. We all would like to discuss the future of cooperation, current problems, and let's see which direction our discussion will move into. What I think it would be interested to explore is the dominance of this Western European database. I think that we could actually ask, is the dominance of this large database leading to scientific closure of our journal? Is there any common feature? I mean, which way should we go when we go to the development of database and the future of our journals? Maybe we can focus on this when it comes to discussion. Bogusława, would you like to start?
Okay, I think the databases are very important for each of us because it is our future. So it's better and it's easier to publish in English because, of course, Poland is the biggest country in the region, but in effect, what does language? It is same position such as Slovak, as Czech or Lithuanian. It's the same today in this in the world. So we decided to publish only in English, and I think that it is only a possible way for us because. If we would like to be present in the international society, only English can help us, no local languages. So it is our strategy. In the first period, we started to be recognized in the international scene. So it is our idea to take part in the international conferences, congresses, and everywhere where it is possible, we launch of the volume. Of course, the databases are our future. But to be on the basis databases, I think that English is one possibility today. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Radojkovic. Would you like to add something about the role of databases?
Yeah, this ranking of the journals is more or less private business. So I'm not too much delighted with the criteria given by Reuters or others, and they have already monopolized this area. And now we have to get rid of one of the aspects of our national identities and forget about our language if we want to be visible in the future. I don't think so. First, I think that if we are partly victims of technological development, which brings English as a lingua franca, the same development maybe could help us to preserve at least part of journal production in indigenous languages, because the same machines or searching engines will be able to introduce better than today translation programs. And so if you publish in your language, you must be visible more or less, as I see it, through the extensive, precise, and excellent summary. And then if someone is interested, can apply the future translation machine and get your full text in any language he or she wants. So this is the way how I see the future. And
hello everybody. I wish you a good early evening, and I'm very happy to see the strongest ones to survive until this moment, until this closing session. It will be brief, but it will still bring a well-thought concluding note and a very important statement. So now I would like to invite Aukse Vasitian, the Vice Chair of CEE Network from Vytautas Magnus University in Lithuania, to deliver her concluding address.
Thank you, Irena. Actually, Irena has asked me to say a few welcoming words and few welcoming notes, and indeed I'm very happy to comply with this mission. I will try to keep those notes, my concluding notes, indeed very brief. But probably these ideas come from certain and very different observations that kind of came up as a format of those concluding remarks from those two indeed very excellent, very rich and very inspiring sessions that we have attended during those 2 days. One of the observations that we notice nowadays generally, when we look not only at the Central and Eastern European media, not only at this rather big and broad landscape of countries, but when we look at different countries around the world, we see some developments that we could say that, well, indeed we are confronted with challenges, with uncertainties, with changes that are not that were not experienced even a decade ago. I think we are indeed confronted with something that is really going on, that is really challenging us, and in many ways we still do not have either keywords or metaphors or theoretical models that would really allow us to say what is happening around us. So therefore, I would say that Central and Eastern Europe, as a kind of a big, broad landscape of countries, could be indeed a very inspiring and enriching landmark of research. And when I look at Central and Eastern European media developments and professionalization of journalism, we always try to go back a little bit, to step back like almost 2 decades in academic research in the media field. And we always remember that for many years, we as researchers tried to look at this region as something, as Central and Eastern Europe is not really different from the rest of Europe, from the West. And nowadays, I think we are noticing more and more kind of clearly, and there is already academic research. There are scholars who are stressing those issues, that indeed we are different. And Central and Eastern Europe is not a homogeneous kind of collection of different countries, different media systems, media cultures, but there is a diversity. And previously we've talked that Western Europe, it's not only one concept. Western journalism is not something which is one type of journalism. There is a broad framework, broad diversity. And I think we are now approaching this moment in time, in history, in academic research, when we say that, yes, Central and Eastern Europe is indeed different. And then the challenge that we are facing, for us, it's very important to study, but in what ways we are indeed different, and in what forms, in what formats, in what cultural histories. So therefore, it's indeed important to study contexts, to study our cultures, to study histories. And the challenge in this assignment, in studying histories, in studying traditions, in studying values, well, the challenge comes from, on the one hand, also memories. And our memories are indeed very selective in many ways. We are trying kind of to open just one part of the window of our research, of our political histories. And in many ways, we are still not really sure who we really are, what our identities are. And I strongly believe that in many ways, when we approach something that is unknown, unrecognized, we have to, first of all, to look into how those people, how the countries understand themselves in order to really understand how the media is functioning. So therefore, I think one of the challenges that we are facing, we have to again look back, kind of step a little backwards, to stop a little bit and indeed look into our contextual realities, into our historical memories, political memories, into our social imaginaries, even those social imaginaries that we as countries have had in early 1990s, what we wanted to be, what we expected that our media will become, and it will be, let's say, after 2 decades. So I think this process of stepping back and kind of going again deeper into our own memories, into our imaginaries, into our values and understandings and the meanings that we assign to different aspects even in the field of media and journalism, I think that's indeed fascinating. So to kind of round up this kind of challenges enriched note, final or closing speech, I would say that an instrument that would help us to really understand more, know more about ourselves is perhaps empathy, perhaps friendship, perhaps something comparative, something interdisciplinary, something intercultural, but everything that goes into direction of those experiences that we felt during those 2 days here in Prague. And I'm indeed very happy, and I was really inspired by the quality, by the richness of presentations. I think we have to really thank the organizers who are joining me at this table. First of all, Irena, then Tomasz, and indeed, and indeed, thank you very much for making and really allowing us perhaps to find that keyword of friendship or keyword of empathy that we can probably take into our academic studies, and by studying really our own context through our own eyes or through eyes of our friends, perhaps at some point we will come up to a situation when we really can finally say in what ways are we different, in what ways we are kind of united, because the beauty, I believe, is in the understanding. Because when we understand traditions, histories, when we understand similarities and differences, I think that's the essence of balance in life. So I stop here. So thank you again, Irena. Thank you, Tomasz. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Alexa, for your almost Buddhist concluding note.
Thank you very much. I'm not very ready for some institutional speeches, but I'll try to make it. First of all, I'd like to thank you all that you've stayed here until now, even if we are all a little bit roasted by the heat, which was unbearable. I'd like to thank all of you, and also very appreciate the possibility to organize the conference and to follow the tradition in Prague, because it's after some years, some more years, when such a big conference focused on media studies and communication was taking place here in our city. So as a representative of Institute of Communication Studies and Journalism of Faculty of Social Sciences of Charles University Prague, I thank you all very much, and I thank you organizers and Ilona very much. This is first part of my institutional speech. I promised that there's going to be just one more, the second part. Second part, as a representative of CEE Network, as a chair of CEE Network, I'd like to inform you that CEE Network management, together with organizers of Czech, Polish, Slovak conference, has agreed that we are keen to continue in our tradition and to keep in track common conferences, and we'd like to broaden the conference not to be focused just on 3 states. It was used until now, and CEE Network of European Communication Research and Education Association has agreed to establish the consortium for organizing the conference, which should represent or be composed of representatives not only of Czech Republic, Poland, Estonia, Lithuania, as was until now, but we'd like to broaden our scale into other countries of Central and Eastern Europe. So we'll do the best to keep in this tradition and to cover also another areas of Central and Eastern Europe, not only Slovak, Poland, and Czech. So thank you very much to all of you. Thank you very much to keynote speakers for coming with very incentives and stimulating ideas.